One tiny sound. That's all it took to wake her.
That night, the room was just like any other. A soft amber light by the bedside. My mother lay still, breathing evenly, her blanket tucked gently gently up to her chest. Nothing seemed out of place. No nightmares, no voices calling, only a tiny click. It came from somewhere quiet, almost unnoticeable. Maybe the old wooden cabinet creaked from the change in temperature. Maybe a breeze brushed the window frame. That sound, so faint, was something only my mother could hear. And she opened her eyes, sat up in bed. I passed by her room and saw that the light was still off. But something about the way she sat calm, yet unsettled, told me she was trying to find her way back to sleep, and already knew it had gone. The next morning, she simply smiled and said, her voice a bit hoarse, "Woke up at 2 again. Not sure why, maybe just one small sound." And I began to wonder, could a sound that soft, barely there, really be strong enough to pull my mother from her sleep and keep her awake until sunrise? If you've ever laid in a quiet room, then sat up because of a sound so gentle only you could hear, then maybe this is your story too. My mother is 76 this year. She lives with care and gentle routine, meals on time, no coffee in the afternoon, no phone after 7 p.m., no major health issues, no lingering worries that hang over her head. And yet, for nearly a year, she hadn't had a full night of sleep. Almost every night, at around 2 a.m., she would wake. No bad dreams, no pain. Just her eyes would open, and they wouldn't close again. At first, I thought maybe it's just her age. The whole family said the same. Older folks sleep less. It's just how it is. But the more I looked at her, the more I knew something wasn't right. Her eyes each morning were no longer clear like they used to be. By midday, her breathing grew slower, deeper, as if her body was trying to catch up for something it had quietly lost. So I started paying closer attention. Every time she woke, the room was still dark. The light was off. Her bed was still. No one had disturbed her. So then, what was waking her? One night, I lay in the room beside hers, listening. And that's when I started to notice the ticking of the wall clock, the gentle tap of the curtain in the breeze, the refrigerator hum switching on at exactly 1:50, a distant radio from a neighbor's house, tiny sounds, but in a room waiting for deep sleep, they became thin needles pressing gently through the veil of rest. For someone young, those sounds would be nothing, but for someone older, everything becomes more sensitive. The heartbeat reacts more easily, the brain responds faster, and that soft feeling of something's off can be enough to keep sleep from coming back. My mother once whispered, "When I wake, I don't know why, but I feel like something's not right," as if the room doesn't feel safe anymore, even when no one else is there. That made me think about the feeling of belonging. She used to sleep to the hum of the radio or the quiet chatter of a forgotten TV. But now, those very sounds, instead of comforting her, had begun to confuse her. It wasn't because she was weak or too sensitive. It was because her body was trying to say something, softly, quietly, and maybe we hadn't been quiet enough to hear it. I began quietly watching each night, not to interfere, but to understand. Because I knew something was waking my mother, not a person, not a nightmare, but maybe a sound so small yet so persistent that it slipped all the way into her dreams. I started keeping notes. Every sound, every time. 1:48 a.m., a soft click from the refrigerator, turning on 1:51. Curtains rustling from the wind outside. 2:03, a neighbor dragging a garbage bin, wheels skimming the pavement. 217, the wall clock let out a faint mechanical tick. Each of these was quiet, but when added together, I began to see why 2 a.m. kept pulling her awake. I tried giving her soft sleep headphones, padded wireless, But after one night, she said, "Too itchy, too heavy. I can't bear it." I understood. Not everyone can sleep with something on their head, especially not the elderly. They don't need more, they need less. So I reversed my plan. Instead of adding sound, I started removing it. First, the wall clock. We had a beautiful old analog clock. Its ticking was steady, almost comforting, but at night in silence, the rhythm became a pinprick. I replaced it with a digital clock. No ticking, no harsh light, just quiet numbers glowing like fog in the dark. She missed the old one at first, but didn't resist. And that night, 2 a.m. came and went, with nothing. Next, the refrigerator. I realized the compressor kicked on right as she was slipping into sleep. I moved her bed farther from the kitchen wall and added a soft rug between. That quiet hum from a distance no longer reached her. Then the curtains. I replaced the light fabric with thicker drapes, the kind you find in calm hotel rooms. No more fluttering, no more tiny gusts of wind whispering her awake. The room felt heavier, but in the best way, like the outside world had agreed to stay outside. Finally, the neighbors. This one I couldn't control, but I placed a white noise machine by her bed. It played gentle sounds, rainfall breeze. A soft blanket of sound that wrapped around her, protecting her from sudden noises. Not to block everything, just enough to muffle life's random knocks with something softer. I didn't tell her what I was doing. I just made the changes one by one. And each morning I'd ask, "Did you wake up last night?" Night 1. Yes, but it was easier to fall back asleep. Night 3, I'm not sure. Maybe I woke up, but it didn't feel important. Night 5, she looked at me, eyes bright, and said I slept so peacefully. I don't know what you did, but the room doesn't scare me anymore. No applause, no big moment, just a night of uninterrupted sleep. And a mother smiling gently in the morning for the first time in a long while. We often think we need to add something to sleep better: pills, playlists, advice. But sometimes, removing just a few things is enough for sleep to return. A few weeks into our quiet experiment, my mother said something that stopped me. I'm not startled by strange sounds anymore, because there's nothing strange in the room anymore. That sentence felt like a door quietly closing behind. A long journey, the kind of journey no one realizes they're exhausted from until it ends. And I realized, to sleep again, my mother didn't need more. She simply needed less. 1. Replace the ticking clock with a silent one. We used to have a beautiful old wall clock. Its second hand made a soft tick, tick, like the house breathing. But in the quiet of night, that ticking didn't soothe. It pierced. So I replaced it with a digital clock. No noise, no glowing face, just quiet numbers, soft, steady, like fog that knows how to be still. 2. Mute the refrigerator, move it, or quiet it. Even a tiny click or the hum of a compressor in the dark is enough to disturb thin sleep. I moved the fridge farther from the bedroom wall, set it to quiet mode at night. The kitchen stayed cold, but the bedroom felt deeper, like nothing hidden was buzzing beneath the surface. 3. Place a soft rug at the side of the bed. Just a simple rug, but it muffled the sound of feet stepping down and absorbed the thoughts that might otherwise hit the floor too hard at 2 a.m. Now when she stepped out of bed, there was no click of heel on tile, only the sense that beneath me there is something soft, something calm. 4. Use white noise or soft rain sounds. We chose the sound of gentle rain, like the kind that once danced on old tin roofs when storms rolled in. It wasn't loud, it didn't compete. It simply filled the room like a second blanket, covering the small sudden noises that used to pull her awake. 5. Avoid leaving radio or TV on while falling asleep. She used to love falling asleep to the radio. Soft music, old voices, late night news. But the older she got, the more those sounds, especially the unexpected ones, made her flinch. I gently asked, "How about we turn everything off before you lie down?" If you need it, I'll put the rain sounds on for you." She agreed after 1 week of not being startled by a sudden ad at midnight. A bedtime ritual simple but quietly magical. Fold the blanket. Each night before bed, she smooths the covers, fluffs the pillow, like telling her body, "I'm ready now to be still." Write one small line of gratitude. Before the lights go out, she writes, "No leg pain today. Thankful my granddaughter called. The rain sounded peaceful tonight." Not to reread, not to analyze, just to let go. Eliminate all unnecessary background sounds. No dishwasher humming after hours. No phone buzzing on the nightstand. No TV waiting to shut off automatically. Just her, the room, and quiet. Stillness is a song your body can understand. If you've made it here, maybe you've lived through a night like my mother's. A night where no one woke you, but you still opened your eyes at 2 a.m. and couldn't close them again. Not because of fear, not because of pain or worry, but because something very small happened in the dark. Maybe it was a soft click from the refrigerator. Maybe a clock hand ticking once. Maybe just the breeze nudging your curtains. Those are the things young people don't hear. But as we age, our bodies become quieter, and in that quiet, we hear more. My mother used to think she was growing fragile. Too sensitive, she said. But in truth, she was just becoming more honest with herself. And once we became quiet enough to listen, we realized that sleep wasn't far away. It was standing just outside the door, waiting for the room to be still so it could step in. So tonight, if something small has been keeping you awake, I invite you to try something just as small. Turn off one sound that doesn't need to stay on. Fold your blanket before lying down. Write down one thing, just one you're thankful for today. And then sit still and ask your room, is anything out of tune with the sleep I want to welcome? You don't need to change the whole world. Just make it a little softer, a little quieter, a little more still. And if tonight you sleep even 15 minutes deeper, remember it wasn't magic. It was a sign you've started coming back to yourself. And if you feel like it, you can share. What small sound used to keep you up at night? What did you change to let sleep return? Or simply, leave a kind word for someone else who's been awake in the night just like you. Because you are not alone, and you never had to accept sleeplessness as just the way it is. Sometimes all it takes is removing one small noise to reopen the door to deeper sleep. Even the smallest noise can hold back the deepest sleep. Wishing you a quiet night. And if you do fall back asleep tonight, know this. You were the one who made that happen with one small but very real choice.